Hi there, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and today's tutorial is going to be for this Harlequin stitched baby blanket with a double crochet front and back post ribbed border. The pattern repeat for a Harlequin stitch is 8 plus 1, which means that you multiply any number times 8 and then add 1. So for today, I'm going to multiply 8 times 3, which is 24, and then I'll add 1, and we will start with 25 chains. We will begin by working 3 double crochet, starting in the 5th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's work 3 double crochets. So a double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. Here is my 3rd double crochet, all worked into the same chain space. Then chain 1 and work 3 double crochets into the very same space again. Here's the last one. Okay, now we're going to skip over the next 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And in the 4th over here, we will work 1 single crochet. Skip 3 chains, and now work that repeat of the 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 double crochets, all into the same chain space. Chain 1, skip 3 chains, 1 single crochet. Now repeat that again. Now, hopefully you'll have 4 stitches left, and that means we will skip over 3 and work our final single crochet into the last chain on the row. However, we will just work half of that single crochet and introduce the new color, gray, and pull it through. Just leave that green. You don't need to cut it or anything. We'll come back after and pick that color up. Now, this is row 2. You will chain 3 and turn. What you will do is this chain 3 acts as the first stitch right here. So I don't want you to work into this first little V that you see that's green. We're going to double crochet across, starting in the next one. And just work half of the double crochet. These are called 3 double crochets together. So I just worked, and now I'll yarn over and I'll insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through 2, and I'll work 1 more, yarn over, So I'm just working into the tops of the double crochets of the row below. Now I will yarn over and pull through all of those loops. Then you'll chain 7. Okay, let's skip this. Remember, we put a chain in between our 2 sets of double crochets. Skip that stitch. Let's work over here into the top of the double crochets, and this time we're going to work 6 together. So that means here's 1, and just keep working your way down, kind of the valley that was formed. We're going to leave this single crochet space unworked. Skip over to the double crochets. Here's our last one. Okay, we have a whole lot to pull through. We're going to yarn over and pull through all, let's see how many loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops. Pull it all the way through. And repeat again. Chain 7. One last time to chain 7. And now here we are at the end. We'll still skip over that little chain space, and now we'll just work the final 3 and do double crochet 3 together. Still pull those through. Now here's an important stitch I don't want you to miss. Down here in one of those skipped chains at the very first, we're going to work 1 double crochet. So important not to miss that at the end of the row down there. Okay, here we go. Let's start with row 3. We'll still chain 3 and turn. Now, do you see this hole that kind of formed from the double crochets that we put together? Let's work in there. We will work 3 double crochets. Now, they'll kind of lay over just a minute. Now remember that space down here that we skipped over, that's where you'll work your single crochet. So I'm going underneath everything here, kind of grabbing that, pulling that down. See how that turned out to be? That'll be your straight edge. Find this hole. And now this time, let's work 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. That kind of forms kind of makes it look like a little diamond. Now I'll reach down over here with my single crochet. All right. Get those 3 double crochets, chain, 3 double crochets worked into this center space. Now at the end of this row, we're still going to work 3 double crochets kind of in, right here, into that middle stitch. that forms the center of the ones that we, the 3 double crochets work together. So we'll still do that. 1, 2, work your final 3. And then in the top of that turning chain, we'll work 1 double crochet. So here's our turning chain over here. But this time, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to leave off with the gray. And remember that the green that we left behind, reach down here and not our little tail. Here we go. Here it is. Just go ahead and pull this up. Our border will cover this up. Now, I will say if you are using a dark color and a white color, though, you may not want to do this because the dark color will show. But it's completely up to you. Okay, here we go. We are going to start row 4. And one thing I always remembered about row 4 is that, and it's always when I changed back to the green color, you start with a chain 4. It's the only time that you do that. Now you'll skip over, turn your work. You'll skip over this double crochet, and this is the row where we'll start working right away with 6 double crochets together. So I'll still skip over that single crochet and work into the tops of the double crochets. Once I get those finished, pull through, and you'll still chain 7. Okay, just make sure you skip over this chain right here and only work into the tops of the double crochets on this round. So we're here at the end of row 4. I just worked my 6 double crochets together. So now at the end of the row, instead of chaining 7, you will just chain 3 and then work single crochet into the tops of the turning chain. And so think of it as you started with 4 chains and we're ending with at least 4 stitches, 3 chains and a single crochet. That is what is unique on this row. Now chain 1 and turn. We're starting row 5. We're going to look right here for that center thing. We're going to skip the single crochet, skip over the chain 3s, find our center of the 6 double crochets together, and we'll start right away with our 3 double crochets. Chain 1. And 3 double crochets, and that makes that finish off our diamond with this color. Make sure I get 3 in there. 6 total. All right, so this is very similar what we did before with the gray color. I'm going to reach down here, enclosing the 7 chains. I'm reaching down here to that chain 1 space. I'm working in between the 2 sets of 3, and I will work that single crochet. All right, begin again, 3 double crochet, chain, 3 double crochet, all into that center spot. And then I'll meet you at the end of the row. I'm here at the end of row 5. I've worked my final 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into that final center spot. Remember those 4 turning chains? I'm going to reach down here into the first of them, and I'll work in there with a single crochet, except I'll stop right there, leave off the green, and pull the gray up. Now we will go back and we'll start with row 2 instructions. So if you go back to row 2, you'll be repeating rows 2 through 5 for the rest of the blanket. So start with a chain 3, start with your double crochet 3 together on the side, and then start with your 7 chains, and work, 6 double crochets down and pull through. Okay, I'm going to work the next 2 rows of the gray off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll pretend that our blanket is finished, and I'll show you how to end the blanket with a row that just kind of mimics this first row. So when you get to the end of your blanket, you're going to want to finish with just 1 row of the, the color A, I guess you would say, which is a row 4 instructions. So we'll still pull up the color. This is a row 4. Start with 4 chains. But we're going to make one little adjustment. We'll still begin by working across those first 6 double crochets. Pull all the way through, but this time, instead of working 7, you'll work 3, and then go ahead and work a single crochet right into that space. Then work 3 more, and then do your 6 double crochets together. That will help when we go to work the border, so that we have we don't have those 7 chains kind of hanging out on us. So let me show you that again. I just worked the 6 double crochets together. I'll chain 3. I'll find the chain space, work a single crochet, chain 3 again, and work the 6 double crochets together. Good. Then you can still finish with your 3 chains and work single crochet down here. And we're done. That's it. Your blanket would be finished. Now at this point, what I will do is go ahead and cast off or cut off and weave in all of your ends. Get these, I'll get about a 6 to a 9-inch tail. And I'll get my tapestry needle and I'll show you how to weave in a few of these ends. When you go to weave in ends, I like to use a tapestry needle, which is a blunt tip and a large eye. Now, depending on the yarn you've chosen, this yarn is called Bernat Roving that I used for the sample, and it's really, oh gosh, fuzzy. So it likes to stick on itself, so I don't have to worry too much about the yarn pulling free once I weave it in several times. And I'm just weaving it in the stitches to disguise it, and I'm kind of working my way back up that chain so I can hide it underneath those double crochets in there. Just kind of go back and forth several times. But if you're using a yarn that's like a 4-ply, oh, this is, and you've got the little strands that you can separate, if you really want to secure your yarn, you're going to want to separate those plies, maybe put 2 and 2 together and weave them in separately. That's another idea for you, but I'm not going to worry about that for this yarn at all. It sticks to itself. So anyway, that's probably good enough. And then I just clip it down close to the fabric. There we go. It really just disappears. Can't see it. So go ahead and do all of them, and then we'll start with the border. All right, let's get started on the border. So I have all the ends woven in. Here's my very starting chain. I'm going to start over here in this bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to use gray for my border. Oh, and before I get started, I wanted to show you what this looks like. You remember we carried the yarn up the side? So it does just lay really nice and flat. So again, depending on the color you choose, this makes it a whole lot easier and saves you some time weaving in ends. All right. I'm going to come down here to this very start corner, be where this green is. I'll just start right there just by pulling up a loop, and I like to just chain 2. Now I'm going to crochet over this end too as well. I'll just go ahead and secure it as we go. So let's just chain 2. Okay. I want you to work 2 double crochets per the sides of either the turning chains or a double crochet post, and then only work 1 double crochet where there was a single crochet on the sides. This is just on the sides. Okay, so I'm just going to work 1 in there. And then I'll work 2 per, this looks like it's a turning chain. And we get up here, this is just one of those single crochets. I'm just going to work 1 double crochet. I think I'm going to skip that, and I'll just go right over here to the post. Just work 1 right into that big hole. Grab this 2 here. And here we are to the starting green. I think I'll go ahead and come right over to this corner. This is our starting row. And I'll work 3 double crochets into this. Make it around the corner. Now, since this was our starting chain, I didn't like how big of a gap there was in there. There's nothing really we can do about it. So I kind of cheated a little bit. And if you have the yarn that is flexible enough to do this, just depends on the yarn you're using. I'm going to come down here, kind of split that post a little bit and pull that up there just to kind of cover up that hole. totally up to you. And I'm going to work into the next stitch kind of over. If you can get that to look even, and if you don't like the hole, go ahead and do that. Then I'll skip over and I'll do the same thing over here, just working 2 per side. Now, I went ahead and I worked into the top of this down here as well. So it's kind of like I crunched up that bottom starting chain as much as I possibly could. I'll go ahead, you can decide, I think I'm going to go ahead and even work over it down there. And it's mainly because this yarn is so bulky, I think I'm getting away with it. But I just didn't want those extra spaces, so it's completely up to you. Keep it even. I'm kind of coming down here, splitting those posts apart. I'm just still working the 2. Then I'll work 3 into the corners. All right, I just finished up going around the whole swatch, and I'm back here to this starting chain 2. All you'll really need to do is slip stitch, go ahead and chain 2, and then let's keep going in the same direction. On the next post, now we will start working double crochet front post, meaning pop that post forward, and then we'll reach our hook around the back and poke this other post towards the back and do a back post double crochet. So we are alternating our stitches here. Now how you're going to work the corners is that depending on how you land, here's my first 3 that make up the corner, and this one turned out to be a back post double crochet. So in the middle stitch, I'll start by working for a front post, and then I'll reach around and do a back post, and then I'll come forward again and work a front post. So I am working 3 stitches around the corner, the middle post, and when I come back around, I'll still have my 3, and I can work around the middle of those 3 to make up the corner. Now, since I ended with a front post, I'll just keep alternating and go to a back post. So that's how you do the corners. So I'm back at the beginning, and here's my little chain 2 where we started. So I've got these 3, and I've already worked. This was a front, so I did back, and now around this same middle post, I'll do a front, and then one more back. And it does get a little tight and tricky. Do your best. Okay, so I've got those 3 right there. And I've got one more. I'll pop it forward to work around. And then I'll slip stitch to that chain 2. I'll chain 2 again and just keep going. Now this time I will, if it's already forward, I'll just keep popping it forward. And that's how I'll get the ribbed look. Okay, so I think I've shown you everything that you need to know about how to work the corners, and going around. If it's to the back, we're going to work it to the back. And then on the final round, I did this for 5 rounds. And on the final round, instead of, I just slip stitched and tied off and wove in the end. So it starts to look really chunky and good. Now, a few things, if you feel like This burnout roving was really pretty forgiving. See how I can just stretch it and it'll stay in its space. If you felt like these were too close together, it will get a rippled look. If they're too far apart, it will pucker. So I think my best advice is make sure you keep that base row of those double crochets pretty evenly spaced. Okay, so here's my finished blanket, and this is made with burnout Marley yarn, so it had just a little bit of stripes in it. It has a little different texture. But anyway, here's what the border looks like when you get it done, about 4 or 5 rows. You can decide how wide you want that border. So anyway, I just love this classic Harlequin stitch blanket. If you do end up making one, come and show us on our Daisy Farm Craft Instagram page, or come and join our Daisy Farm Crafter group on Facebook. We will have all the links to the pattern, if you are seeing this on YouTube, down in the descriptions. And if not, you've already seen us on our website. So thank you so much for coming by, and we will talk to you later.